Now, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. I'm just going to see if I can put it to full screen mode because it always looks a bit nicer, but sometimes it does glitch out. Hang on. Now, can you still see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Perfect. So today I'm going to talk about FROSTKISS, and if you're not familiar, it's the PMA Hellebore range. And I just wanted to mainly address the name, which we sort of teased a little bit last year, FROSTKISS, but we've officially now umbrellaed them all under this name. So I want to just walk through that process and sort of explain the rationale behind that because you'll see that reflected in your stores probably this season, but mainly next season. So FrostKiss is the collective name that we're going for because previously with the PMA Hellebores, we sort of referenced them as Hellebore Collection or just PMA Hellebores. And there wasn't really a umbrella name to sort of class them under. So the decision came to sort of do a bit of a rebrand and a bit of a refresh. And the FrostKiss name actually comes from the breeders themselves, and they use that internationally, but they don't have a brand. So part of what we do at PMA, we brand all our products. So the Dream Areas, the Lavanova, it's all branding done by us. And we had the opportunity to do the branding for FrostKiss, which was really awesome. So we had an opportunity to sort of review colors, sort of slogans and things like that. And one slogan that you'll see a little bit through our marketing, whether it be EDM, so email, electronic communications from us, or social media, videos, or even in magazines or online, you'll see this new tagline called Cheer Up Your Winter and Color Your Spring. The previous one we're still going to use, which is indoors for a moment, but outdoors for a lifetime. But we wanted to really play on the words of, bright, cheerful, and color in your winter, but the longevity of the hellebore range into the spring months as well, because they do flower for quite a long time. So that's just to give you a little bit of backstory as to where the Frostkiss name has come from. And you'll start seeing that, as I said, starting to roll into your stores, probably this season, but more so next season. And to just explain the logo, so something that we do a lot at PMA is we sit down, sort of really brainstorm our logo ideas and sort of try and come up with an idea that would appeal to the Australian market. And for this logo, what we did is we sort of wanted to play homage to the plant itself, but also the flowers. So we can see that through the shape of the logo that reflects the flower and the leaf. And then we've got the veining.
Can I just stop you, Bonnie? Sorry, am I the only one that can only just see your screen with the trees?
Can you see it now, which changed?
No.
No.
Oh, it hasn't changed.
No, it's only
We've
just
just got your
correct.
screensaver. Sorry.
Oh, you can't see the. Oh, okay. Let me reshare. Oh, here I was thinking you could see it.
No, we're enjoying you. We're enjoying your screensaver, but I thought
That's okay. Lucky I had a nice
it's me.
plant image there. Let me try it again. Then give me 1 second. So share screen. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
There we go.
This is what you're supposed to be seeing. So yes, Frost Kiss. This was the starting slide. And then if I go to the next slide for you. So this is sort of playing into that tagline that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
So as you can see, these sort of colors here will be reflected through the brand as we go through, and you'll see it progress as well. Thank you, Lisa. So I got up to here. So this is the logo. So this is the primary logo. And as I was saying, you can sort of see that it reflects the shape of the flower and then the leaves. But we've also put into the logo the veining that the collection's famous for, especially internationally, and then the trademark name. Just one thing with trademarks, just in case you're not familiar, especially if you're putting plants on your online shop, just in terms of name structure. So when a plant is part of a trademark collection, it's important when you're writing the name that the trademark always goes before the plant genus. So, for example, if you were to put Anna's Red on your website for sale, you'd need to write Frostkiss Hellebore Anna's Red. That's just technically what would be correct by IP Australia. So, just a handy tip if you're ever dealing with trademarks, but it's just, yeah, always good to try and get it right if you can. Otherwise, IP Australia might be chasing you to write it correctly. This is sort of the vision we've got for the labels, and these have all been put into print. You may have started to see some, but we've got to circulate through the old labels first, of course. But these are all available to the wholesale growers who have started to use them. So you may start to see this come into your stores. And as you can see, by giving a primary logo, a bit of uniformity to the label, we haven't changed the shape, but we've updated the colors. It's a much fresher, brighter look, and one that we think is going to play really well in your stores. And each plant within the collection will still have its own personality through color story, which you can see in these labels, font style. So these are some of the things that we do with the branding. But it's just to give you a bit of a little bit of a look as to what you'll hopefully start to see this season and definitely by next season with the labels. Just a bit of backstory on the breeders themselves. So all the Hellebores in the FROSTKISS range come from a breeder out of the Netherlands called Exceptio. And they've been breeding not just hellebores, but many perennials for many years. Another famous plant of theirs is Carrick's Feather Falls. That comes from them as well. So they've always been driven by doing quality plants, but also they want to grow perennials for lasting. And with the hellebores, it's quite a long process for the development of them. So what they do is they do grow them out all by seed, and that can take, between 4 to 5 years before they start to get the first flower. And then from that flowering stage, they do their own research and development. And then before it even gets to a point where they are happy to put in their own internal trials, it goes through a few more years of growing on. Once it gets to that internal trial, they'll test it for production, sort of quality, I guess longevity as well, before they're happy to then release it to global market. And when it gets to a point of global market, that's when we're lucky enough to go and visit and see these genetics and then bring them into the Australian market ourselves. So each plant that comes under the FROSTKISS range has probably had a trialing period in the Netherlands of 7 years or more. And then when we get into Australia, it's probably a trial period of between 2 to 3 years as well. So it's a really, really lengthy process, a long one. In the trials that we do in Australia, we're testing for, adaptability to our climate, of course, not just in the southern parts, but also the northern parts of the country. We're testing for the flowering longevity and if the color of the flower is actually true to type as well, because sometimes plants you see internationally from breeders are a beautiful color, then you bring them to the Australian climate and it's totally different. So a lot of the FROSTKISS hellebores go through a really, really long trialing period before you get to see them in your stores as well. Um, in terms of what makes them a little bit different as well, just to touch on this, they do breed better heat tolerance into them. And we've seen that because we've been able to grow them up north without them, going and collapsing entirely. So they've got really good heat tolerance. But with that said, like we all know, they still like good watering and feeding regardless. But they do tend to hold up a lot better than really old forms. The foliage is evergreen and you've got that patterned foliage, so that veining. A lot of the varieties in the FROSTKISS range do have that silver veining. Some of them might be a bit darker tones of green or red, but most of the time it's a silver veining. Another great thing about them is that they have the upward facing blooms. So you still get that nodding effect, but then they turn themselves up. So you do get to enjoy their faces, which is really nice. A lot of the FROSTKISS varieties also aren't invasive, so they're not going to self-seed everywhere. They're going to stay to their own little secluded area, which some gardeners prefer. Some gardeners like hellebores that do travel, but all the ones under this umbrella collection will stay within their own zone. So, which also leads them into being fantastic for pot containers and things like that as well. In terms of, I like to nickname this ongoing education, but it's maybe more so needs to be nicknamed, I guess, forecasted education. Because what we're starting to see is a lot of hellebores, and you guys could probably confirm this, is that we're starting to see them getting sold a lot earlier now, compared to their normal sale window. So we're starting to see some hellebores in stores from March, which to me, from when I was in retail, seems really, really early because we used to tell them mainly when they're in flower or coming into that winter season as something new. But I think it's just a good little seed to have in the back of your head is that ongoing education can be about, your added on sales later on, whether, educating the customer at the time of buying that, this plant might need repotting in 12 months' time, or, these fertilizers, or this is how you care about the plant out of season. And that can translate to your social media, your EDMs, things like that. So thinking of other ways to sort of promote your plants in store, if you've got them in store when they're not in flower, how else can you sort of educate your consumers on these plants? So it's just a bit of a food for thought, which leads me into what PMA can offer for you in terms of what we can do to assist you. So we create all point of sale for all of our plants under our portfolio, not just the FROSTKISS, but all this point of sale is available to you through your wholesale growers. So that can be A4 signs, it could be big horizontal signs, it could be bollards, it could be custom point of sale. And a lot of these substantial collections have that point of sale already printed and available. So it's just a matter of touching base with your wholesaler to see if they do have them on hand. If not, that's when they reach out to us and we get it sorted for them. Next sort of category is photography and videography content. So I always stress about this every time when I have a webinar. I sort of go on about it, but I think it's just such a useful tool is the PMA Support Centre. We do all photography. It's all professionally captured, and same with our videos. And when I was working in retail at Garden World, I was there for 13 and a half years. This was a tool that I did use quite a lot because it means you can download photos, plant information, all for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can schedule out your promotions for the whole month or for that week. And it just takes a lot of the hassle out of it for you. So if you haven't yet, I'd really encourage you to explore and have a look at the PMA Support Centre and see what collateral you can get. And we've got all the new varieties of hellebores on there with all the new photography as well, plus videos. And then information, every piece of information that goes up on our website or in our EDMs or on our support center comes from either myself or other horticulturalists in the business, and it comes through all that trialing period. So it's a lot of data that's collected. But there's breeder stories in there that you can use to educate your team, which can sometimes help with your sales, to explaining the story behind the plant. Or it could just be information fact sheets and things like that, which can be useful tools for you as well. I won't play any of these because I can't watch myself, but we've got lots of videos available. So once again, it's just showing ways that you can use different content to help promote your plants in store and online. So video wise, you could link this in an email out to your consumers. If you've got TVs in store, you can even play the videos in store, depending on what you're wanting to achieve. But there's videos obviously with me talking in them, but there's also videos without myself in them as well. So they're all available to you to look at, or if you want to educate a customer, you can refer them to the website and they can watch it there. In terms of highlights for this season, they're very similar to last year, but these are all our more recent or new releases. So Ivy Velvet, which has a very similar color to Anna's Red, but it's a much smaller variety in terms of habit and size. And the flower stems are shorter as well, so they tend to stand up really nicely. They don't flop over on the plant. It's a very prolific form. Really, really pretty red wine color, great border plant. Once again, good for pots, but it's just one that we're really excited to buy and seems to be doing really, really well in the Australian market. So that's one to keep an eye out for. The Moon Dance is a new one as well that came out a little bit limited last year, but now in good numbers this year. Yeah. And I wanted to just touch on what the differences between this one is to Molly's White, because Molly's White is a pure white and it's a bigger, much bigger, flatter flower with more of a star shape to it. Whereas Moon Dance is, as you can see, it does have white tones, but in this photo on the side here, you can see that the flowers have sort of a blush to them, which is much more noticeable in person. So you have a blush on the reverse, and then the center is lime green that then matures to a white. So you get a little bit of a transformation with this flower as it ages. But another really nice one, and a bit more shorter as well in habit, that one. Magico, which is one of our staff favorites for the new ones joining the block. This one's in good numbers this year. It's a really, really beautiful hellebore with massive flowers. Like these are really big flowers. They come out a mulberry color, and then you get that sort of bicolor stripe through the bloom as it ages to that sort of, I guess, creamy lime color. And just coming up, I've got an example of a size difference, but it's just a really beautiful form. So once again, we've got Sophie's Delight on the left. And Sophie's Delight, I consider quite a large flowering Hellebores, but you can sort of see the size difference with Magico. It's a really big bloomer. It's still prolific as well, so you still get a really good longevity out of the bloom on that one. But it's just good to give you an idea on the size difference of that flower. And Elemental, once again, that was a very soft release last year, but this year it's in full release, so available nationwide. And this is a really pretty pink. It has a really deep reverse, and then the face is much lighter. But one of the nice features of this hellebore, which you can see in these shots, is sort of this pattern, almost like pencil strokes or sort of paint marks on the flower, which is really noticeable once again when you're staring at it in person. And this is another really big flowering form as well. So it tends to have nice big blooms, almost the same size as Magico. So it's a really prolific one as well. So there are probably our four main picks for this season, new to the range. And then this QR code will lead you just to the support center if you haven't already got one, or if you're wanting to share it with your staff internally. I would traditionally say here that you are more than welcome to email me and reach out to me if you have questions or you need assistance or whatever it might be. But I am on maternity leave, so I won't be available. But if you email info@PMA, they'll be more than happy to help you for sure with anything that you need, whether it's point of sale, needing to know who to get stock from or which supplier grows what for what state. Our team can help you with that. But the biggest thing I wanted just to show you guys today was the FROSTKISS and that branding and sort of how those labels are going to look in your stores. So hopefully you get good feedback from consumers on that, from your team as well. But happy to hear your feedback as well if you guys have any on that in due course. But that's our Hellebores for this season. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Bonnie. Firstly, I love the new labels. They look amazing, and I think on a bench they're just going to look fabulous. Just a question for you, and this is probably a bit of a general one for everyone that may not know. What would you recommend as a good purpose, like a good fertilizer for the hellebores? Is there a specific one you'd use?
Yeah, so what I tend to use, because I grow all the trials myself and I grow them in my garden and that, I'm a stickler for the all-purpose pellet feed by Grow Better, the organic one. I find that really good, and I find that you don't need to do too much more than that. So I tend to do that sort of in autumn and then again in the spring, and that's all I do, and that tends to keep them happy, to be honest.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's
Anyone
okay.
else got any questions? Come on.
If not, it's all good.
Heath, Bonnie, you did well.
Which one?
Excellent.
Yeah,
No worries.
we'll get that.
It's very quiet this afternoon.
Yeah.
All good. Well, if no one else has got anything else, but yeah, I know Liz jumps on the PMA support center a lot and gets a lot of stuff off that. So, guys, if you don't use it, I will highly recommend it. There is some great stuff on there, and you can just download it and print it off, and we laminate them and put them out in the shop. We've done it recently with the Runaway Bride hydrangeas and all that. So the stuff that is on there is really good, and you can just jump on and grab it any time. So, yeah, as Bonnie said, jump on, register to it if you haven't, and have a look at it because there's great stuff on there.
We do have a question, if that's okay, or Jan does. Bonnie, do you find that the FROSTKISS, the whitefly and aphids aren't as attracted to them as the other varieties?
Yeah, so what I have found, even back when I was working in retail, I found that some of the older varieties did tend to suffer from it a little bit. But I'm finding, or I guess we're finding more so with even the new genetics that that's less so. So For example, like Vibe Velvet and Magico, I've not seen any on mine in my garden, so that's a really positive sign. So I think it's something that the breeders have always been striving to work on, and I think it's unfortunately a notorious pest that most hellebores do get, but it seems like each new generation of genetics that's coming through, they're getting better and better. So yeah,
Thank you.
all good.
I
Bonnie,
believe I was muted before. I believe it's Lisa's birthday today.
Oh, no, 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 no.
oh, happy
That's what it says
birthday
on
to
on
you.
Facebook, Lisa. Maybe you don't want to grow another year older, but you can't avoid it. So happy birthday if it is.
How do
Happy
we?
birthday, Lisa. I have a question.
Mm.
Bonnie-Marie, you say that they're good in heat. Are they still good in the Perth with the hot wind that we have?
Yeah, so we do have growers over in WA that do produce them. I think the
Mm.
biggest thing within your climate is just the stress of good watering practices. And even though they're more sun tolerant varieties as well, I'd say for a WA climate that they're probably better off in that more partial sunny sort of shaded area just to
Yeah.
give that better fighting chance in the garden. But I think long as the gardener is watering well, they're doing the right things by the soil, they should be fine. We've had them in that market for many years and had good success.
Yeah.
So I think long as you keep to those fundamentals, then they're fine. But yeah, it's always tricky in WA because you do get very, very hot.
Yeah. Thanks, Bonnie-Marie.
No worries.
Super. Any
Yeah.
other questions from anybody? David, you muted. There you go.
No.
Oh.
So we're just talking internally of just about helis and stuff like that. So and just how people use them a lot, whether it's pots or the garden. And I said, well, probably our customers probably have them more as a garden plant than a pot plant, but pots are still good.
Excellent. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, Bonnie, thank you so much.
Okay.
And on behalf of the GCA, we wish you all the best with your pregnancy and everything moving forward over the next few months. And we're all excited to see where it all goes. And yes, hopefully you're all well.
Thank you. I am going to be back on board for everyone's knowledge in the new year, but I'll try my best not to look at my work emails.
No, don't. You won't have time.
Maybe not. No, I'll have time for gardening though, so it's okay.
Yes. Well, we can follow you on there.
And we're so grateful that you gave of your time today and you were so committed to wanting to do this today. It was very good of you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. All good.
All right. Well, I think if no one else has any questions, we'll call it. The other thing too that a number of people had asked also was your last sneak peek of Mifkis that you gave us a webinar there that we uploaded that to the Facebook closed chat room. So I was going to suggest that we do that again because there'd been some requests from people that haven't been able to attend today with Stocktake that we also added on there, but also the YouTube. Yeah.
That's fine.
Super. All righty. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice birthday, Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Kill you,
Bye.
Bree.